Sooner or later in your career, you will have to get up and make a presentation in front of people, either your colleagues, customers, or other business people. It is said that the average person fears public speaking more than death. And if this is not your native language, well, that doesn't make it any easier. So let's look at a few ways to overcome anxiety about public speaking and some recommendations for making presentations. After some practice, you may even begin to like it. What makes us nervous about public speaking? It is, I believe, basically a variant of the worry about whether the people we speak to will like us. You may feel that your pronunciation is poor, you can't find the right words, you're too tall, too short, or your hair's a mess. We are much harder on ourselves than others are. Let's address how to overcome these fears. To start with the first point, where else should we start? It helps if you know what you're talking about. There's no substitute for preparation. According to the author Ernest Hemingway, in order to write well, you must know 10 words about the subject for every word that you write. Otherwise, the reader will know that this is not true writing. In other words, don't give out everything you know. Keep something back for the Q&A session. Next, practice, practice, practice. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Good point. Take your time and speak slowly. Remember that your audience has 1,000 other things on their minds, including the text that just pinged on their phones. Don't go 100 miles an hour to try to get through it. Slow down. About any visuals that you want to show, we'll have another section of this lecture devoted to just that, but let's just say for now that the quickest way to your audience falling asleep is a series of slides packed with text. Snooze. Finally, take a few calming breaths before you start. It lowers your blood pressure and calms your nerves. In addition, the physical movement of a breath opens up your rib cage and allows your voice to reach the ends of the room. And last, as you are speaking, if you get flustered by how people look at you, just look at their noses instead. They will think you're making eye contact, even if you're really not. PowerPoint, or PowerPointless, as some people call it. Actually, I don't think it's fair to blame Microsoft for people using their product badly. I've seen some great presentations involving PowerPoint and hundreds of really awful ones. Let's look at a few basic points about the visuals for a presentation. One problem I have with presentations is the speaker who has loads of text on a screen but says something else. It gives me cognitive overload to try to read and understand his written words while listening and trying to understand his spoken different words. If you're listening to me talk here while at the same time trying to read the visual on the screen, you are experiencing cognitive overload. Your slides are illustrations of your presentation, not the presentation itself. They should underline and reinforce what you say. This is why good presenters cringe when people ask them, "Oh, just send me your slides." If the slides were enough, why would anyone present? Please have as little text as you can on a slide, and if you must have text, make sure it's identical to what you say. Pay a little attention to design. Consider your fonts. The basic sans serif fonts are best, like Helvetica, Arial, or Calibri. Sans serif means the font has no little curves at the top and bottom of each letter. This slide uses Helvetica. Ensure a contrast between the background and the text, either light on dark or dark on light. Align text left. Centered text is hard to read. And try to avoid clutter. A headline and a few bullet points and an image, that's usually enough for one slide. First, stop this lecture at this point and look at, perhaps print out, the assignment for this week. Help! You see that your assignment is to pretend invent something new. So first of all, what can we invent? Well, how about we limit it to a product, a service, or software? Let's pick a product. It's bad for your health to sit for hours at a time staring at a computer monitor. Our winning product will be a sensor in your chair that lifts the seat and ejects you so you have to stand up after sitting for more than 50 minutes. It won't let you sit down again until 10 minutes have passed. How will we create a short marketing presentation for this revolutionary new service? So, in this example, the new product is a device that companies can purchase, accompanied by the software to determine the timings, of course, to help their employees gain better health. What are you going to invent? It doesn't have to be anything big or earth-shaking. Consider the company Levi Strauss, maker of blue jeans. For 150 years, the brand has stayed on top in the large field of denim products. But how do you convince blue jeans buyers that they should choose Levi's? They tout their product's authenticity, implying that other brands are copycats. They appeal to a buyer's emotional response, and their ads are often a bit controversial. You're just not buying blue jeans, you're joining a hip club. And they never vary from their multiple visual brandings of their products. Just take a look at the image on this slide. How will you convince your audience? Remember that in this assignment, you're a representative of a business and you are talking to other business people, not to the end user. So in selling them on your ejection seat device and software, what might appeal to your fellow business people? Well, basically it's a variant on the same theme. Either decreased expenses, such as reduced health insurance costs, or increased potential for profit through, for example, better cooperation among employees who actually talk to each other, or more cross-departmental idea generation, since they all have to get out of their chairs at least once an hour. You might also want to briefly touch on the negative consequences of not using your invention. It probably won't work to hammer this point hard to an audience of business people, but if you're trying to sell them something a bit weird, like this green soda health drink with tofu cream, you may want to tell them that if they don't use it, their poor health as a result might impact their bottom line. It's not a great argument, but an appeal to fear does work in some campaigns. How much do you sway people with statistics and numbers? If you were selling to an end user, maybe not very much. But since you are at a B2B conference with your peers, they tend to be finance folks. And those kinds of people are influenced by numbers. Invent some statistics. This is just an assignment to show us how well you can use English to make a presentation after all. It's not real. Thanks and good luck. You have done a lot of work in this course and I applaud you for it. I look forward to seeing and listening to your presentation this week. I hope to see you again in another class, online or on ground.